Sunday, July 19th, 09:23 a.m. New York time. Welcome back, investors, to Winning Wall Street's Money. So we're already halfway through the month. We're already halfway through the year. And we have many big companies already reported their stock earnings. It's public information. We also have elections this year, midterm elections in November. We also have a Federal Reserve FOMC meeting later this month. We also have inflation. We also have war. Let's go look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, one of the oldest stock indexes, as well as the 30 companies in the stock index. Those 30 companies are the largest publicly traded companies in dollar value. And also, a few weeks ago, the Dow Jones Industrial Average company changed out one of their companies. They took the Verizon Communications off of the stock index of the Dow, and they replaced it with Alphabet, aka Google. So that has had an impact on the stock index because Verizon was one of the poorer performing companies on the index. First, Google was one of the better performing. So again, this helps strengthen the stock index to perform even better than most recent years. Because again, you're putting on a better company. So opportunities to invest in a good stock index, less money management on your behalf, meaning instead of buying individual stocks, you could buy a good stock index and dollar cost average. So we're looking here on the Dow Jones Industrial Average Stock Index. 3 grids. The far left is the daily, the middle is the weekly, and the far right is the monthly. Well, since the month is not over yet, that grid on the far right, that candle's not done yet. So looking on the far right monthly, all-time new high, currently forming a bearish pin bar, all-time new high. The middle chart, the weekly, we already made a reverse. This past week, we made a lower high, lower low. The trend reversed, and we closed below the close of the prior one. So more likely, the trend is doing a pullback, a retracement. Again, the market is bullish. Look in the far right, the monthly, big, strong move up. So in the middle chart, the weekly, I just put a Fibonacci tool. So if I'm looking to buy on the dips, on a dip where it's weak, that has a higher probability to go back up. I'd rather be buying on the retracements, like a discount. Yep. So again, I'm looking at key levels. Well, it's testing a Fibonacci level, 0.318. If it reverses off of that, that's extremely bullish. If it goes all the way down to the blue Fibonacci level, 6.618, that's very weak. So again, I'm looking here to see if we get a reversal. And here on the far left, the daily chart. Again, we made a lower low, lower high. On Friday, we also took out a swing low here. But wicks on the bottom, buyers stepping in. Again, the trend has not reversed yet, so we may have more downside. That being said, going to look at the 30 companies inside the index to help identify the winners and the losers, alphabetical order, since some people prefer to create their own index. They buy their own individual stocks, managing that. So again, we're looking at the weekly chart, a 5-year chart, each candle's a week, the Dow 30, trend reverse, lower high, lower low, but 2 weeks ago was the all-time high. Remember that, because now we're going to look at the 30 companies individual, compare them. Far left is the stock watch list of the Dow 30, alphabetical order. Represents the prices they closed on Friday. So look at Apple, all-time new high, outstanding. Big, strong move up on that weekly candle, extremely bullish. If you don't know, The Japanese yen last week made a new low, the new low for like 22 something years. And Apple is an American company. So, because the Japanese yen is so weak, Apple has raised prices on their phones or maybe other products in the country of Japan. Because again, the weak currency is concerned the currency might get weaker. So, since Apple raised the prices on their phones in Japan, they're going to have to pay more yen. But again, it's a situation when you have a country and your currency is getting weaker, you have to shell out more of your currency, or again, they're going to raise the price as well too, companies that are doing international business. If not, Apple would be losing. So what one could do if you're American, you could take your US dollars, because the US dollar is stronger, you could buy Japanese yen currency and buy some Apple products at a discount maybe. And US dollar is very strong right now. That could be done also with other financial instruments, as that was done in the case in commodities a long time ago. Look at this. Below the highs of the year. And for the week, wow. Forming a dodgy candle here. Very suspicious in this consolidation here, please. See this orange vertical line? That's when the company was added to the Dow 30, Amazon. Amazon was already part of the NASDAQ 100. It's already part of the S&P 500. But that's when it got added to the Dow Jones. That was like 3 years ago. Since then, it's gone higher. Yep. So you see Amazon, here's the high for the year. And here's one for the week. So again, Apple outperforming these, forming a bearish pin bar here. Makes sense. We had this panic selling here. Natural retracement might be a bearish opportunity. Got earnings coming up soon too. So it might be a bearish setup. American Express Financials, one of the strongest sectors right now in the S&P 500. The trend is up. The high was last year, so it was underperforming the stock index. And look at that. Yeah, might be a reversal here too, coming soon. Boeing, no surprise. Look, it's below the highs of 2021, 2023, 2024. Very weak. And then again, this week, lower high, lower low. Caterpillar, wow, big retracement since coming off the high. Salesforce, near the lows of the year, way below the highs of 2024. So you see most of these companies are underperforming Apple, and several of them are below the highs of the prior years. A lot of them are hurting the index. So when you hear politicians, business leaders say the stock market's at all-time high, they're not being transparent. They're not being speaking honestly, because the stock market represents every single company. And every single company is not at all-time high. Again, some of them are politicians, never worked in the business, don't know much about finance or economics. But you know more because I just showed you the charts. Cisco, so since coming off the highs, has more declining price. Wow. Chevron, yep, reversal. There's a high for the year. Energy. Disney, no surprise, way below the highs of 2022. Below the highs of 2021 too. Wow. Trend is down. Here we go. Google, again, a few weeks ago when it was at it, coming off the highs. And for the week, closed red below the prior week. Goldman Sachs, all-time new high. Outstanding. Financials. Financials are doing very well this year. Inflation, you pay more for many things. If your income has not increased, well, now you have less money to spend. Maybe carrying a debt. Maybe you have a mortgage, auto loan, credit card debt. You're paying interest. These guys are making money. Also, these big companies, the financials, not all of them, but the ones that do stock IPOs, that's their big bread and butter. They make more money off those stock IPOs They're naturally doing the shell transactions. They also make money off managing other people's money. Home Depot, way below the highs of 2024. Honeywell, big sell-off since hitting that high of the year. So you see, again, most of them are below the highs of the year. First, Apple was outstanding. IBM, wow, had an all-time high this year and huge selling this past week. Big drop. Interesting, big drop. That being said, big panic selling. I'm going to look for the opportunity for bull put spreads. Yep. See, there's big come Monday. I'll look, see how it goes. Again, buying bull put spreads, high premium, collecting income, not buying the stock. I'm not bullish the stock. It's an advanced option strategy. Johnson & Johnson. Yep, another big sell-off. JP Morgan, no surprise, the financials, all-time high. Coca-Cola, all-time high. Well, sorry, 2 weeks ago was all-time high. McDonald's, new low for the year. And 3M. Well, that's interesting. Had a nice consolidation here. And W pattern. Look at this W pattern. Nice. So probability is going to go continue higher. Nice. Merck, new high for the year, still below the highs of 2024. And Microsoft, look at that. Since coming off the lows, it's trending back up, but still below the highs, way below the highs of 2025 week. Yep. Again, retracement. Again, bearish, trend down, doing retracement. Nike, one of the extremely weak this year, made a new low for the year a few weeks ago. But again, it's hurting the stock index, the Dow. It's one company I've been mentioning for years. I wish they would replace NVIDIA off the highs of the year. Procter Gamble, yeah, way below the highs of 2024. Sherwin-Williams, it was added a few years ago. And since it was added, look at that, it declined. So below the highs since it was added, loser. Travelers, another financial company, all-time high. Look at that big move up. Nice. And United Health, big reversal since the low of the year. Look at the low of the year. Red candle, inside candle. Nice 2 candlestick pattern and new high for the year, but made a bearish pin bar. Visa credit card, new high for the year, but below the highs of last year. And Walmart, close to the lows of the year. Thank you as always spending just a little time with me. That's it for the video. Thank you for watching. Thank you kindly for your support.